Well, fans, welcome to another episode of Podcasting Regulation. I'm your host, RP, and today is Wednesday, May 28th. It's been a bit. I should have at least had the update from the Chevron for you, which I did have in the books. Wrapped it up and started editing and realized that my mic was going in and out as well as causing a lot of static, so I scrapped it. So that is one thing we have to go over today, as well as the week of the Black Desert Championship, and that should get us up to date. We'll also go over the last few picks for Office Pool / One and Done. But as always, please give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Pod and Regulation, or you can check out the Facebook fan page, Podcast and Regulation. Should you also want the email, it's podcastandregulation@gmail.com. As you know, I always try to answer those and try to keep up with everything that people do throw at me, especially for tips for the week if there are no podcasts, which there haven't been for a while, but at the same time, I won't lie, there's no cover-up, there's no nothing. It's just tough getting the time and effort in being a one-man show to put together the content and then kind of run it down, run through it, and be able to still edit it on time. And then now we throw in kind of the middle process of starting to move. So if it's kind of echoey in here, it's because there's not a lot of things in this room anymore, and I just had taken down all the helpful acoustic pieces that tried to stop the sound from booming. But hopefully that's better in the next place. But yeah, we're going to start off with the Chevron. So let's just get into that. Spoiler alert, there weren't a lot of wins here. Matter of fact, the record that you'll see is going to be 1-11 from the Chevron, the week of the Chevron. So in the top 10, we had Natalia Guseva, Lauren Coughlin, and Shizato Iwai. We had $5 on Guseva, that was a miss. $6 on Iwai, that was a miss. And Coughlin, $18.25, and that was a miss. 3 more losers up on the board for the top 5. Had $5.50 on Nelly Korda. Had $10.50 on Esther Henselite, and I had $23.75 on our girl Ayaka Furue. None of those hit. They were all within the top 20, but unfortunately, most places just don't go that far out for letting me bet. So if you have any suggestions, any other places, trust me, I have looked at the 5 major ones and some on the side. It's really tough to see anyone going and giving the LPGA enough, betting options to get them all the way into the top 20, top 30, just like they do for the men every week. But hey, that's what we have to deal with, and it's not really doing me any favors, although the week after the Chevron, we'll see, it did help a little bit. And then we were looking at first round leaders for the Chevron. Gino Thirical, Jin Young Ko, and Lauren Coughlin, all misses, so we'll count that as one loss. And then the other event that went on that week that I did bet on was Live Mexico. And with that, we did have one hit. Within the top 20 picks, I was hoping Adrian Ronk would kind of come around for this one. That was a miss. He actually shot 13 over overall, so that was a loss of $14.50. Brooks Koepka just to make the top 30. That was a miss. He was a minus 275 for that one. And then one of the big hits was by Bryson DeChambeau for $13.50 at minus 163. And then Patrick Reed to also finish in the top 10. That was a $6.75 bet, and that was a miss. And last but not least, Joe Dean to finish in the top 5 of... So the Joe Dean pick was... So yeah, I did write down Joe Dean. It's actually Dean Burmester for a $10 bet to finish in the top 5. That was a miss. He finished T26. See, too many Deans, so mix that one up right there. So as I had mentioned, that record ended up putting me at 1-11 for the week. The amount on the table was $129.75 with a payout of $21.78, meaning I ended up losing $107.97. So end of that week, my bankroll was at $1,084.29. All right, and then moving on to the week of the Black Desert Championship, the only things I had bet on for the men's side was Ben Griffin to win the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, He was a missed cut at $6.75. I also took him for that enhanced win, so that was a miss. And then first round, we were hoping for higher scores for these three. Higher scores meaning 68.5 or worse. Rika Hoey actually sat a 63 on day one. I don't know if he was first round leader, but he was up there very early. So complete miss there. I was not expecting that out of him. Honestly, first days are pretty dicey for him for me to bet that way. He generally performs pretty well. He can take advantage of some of those early times and usually can see him in the top 20 at the end of the first round. But for whatever reason, went with a gut feeling, which was very wrong. Probably should have faded myself there if I didn't. Hopefully you did. But the two hits we had from the 68.5 strokes or worse were Ryo Satsune at $10 for even money. It was plus 100. Shot a 73 that day, and that was a cash in for 20. And then Jordan Spieth shot 69. So just snuck in there for us. Certainly under par, but not good enough to really put himself anywhere near that leaderboard if he was going to play that way through all 4 days. But it was a plus 125 at 550, so payout was $12.38. So the bigger bets, the larger pool of bets were with the Black Desert. We had top 10 bets for Shizato Iwai, her sister Aki Iwai, and Alim Kim. In order, it was $6 at plus 300, $5 at plus 280, and Alim Kim at $11.75 for a plus 190. All missed the cut. Three names that I was not expecting straight out missed the cut, and I can't explain that one. I did get to watch some of it, but that probably was one of the tournaments I had watched the least outside of them being on the other side of the world. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it was weather or if it was bad luck or whatever it might have been, but these are all players that I would never have bet on to miss the cut, let alone all three. And it obviously showed the week after with all of them playing really well. But then going into the top five, we had Hyoju Kim at plus 525. Only a $4.25 bet, but that was a miss. The next two were hits, though, and they were big ones. They definitely helped cushion some of the blow of this week. Heiran Ryu ends up winning it outright, but I took her in the top five as well. She is a plus 350 for $8. Payout was $36 flat. And then Runing Yin, who finishes runner-up, took her put down $7.50 for her plus 390. So I got $36.75 back there. And then the other two bets, one was an absolute loser. We had Alim Kim versus Charlie Hull. Charlie Hull makes the cut. That's all she needed to do. Alim Kim misses it. That was a loss of $26.50 betting on Alim Kim. And then it was Allison Corpus who missed the cut versus Heijin Choi. I was expecting a tie. Both of them one to play a little worse than normal and one to play up to the competition. They weren't paired together, but you're just hoping that over the course of 72 holes that between these two they may end up somewhere in the same vicinity by the end of it. And it was a plus 1600 to end in a tie. I only put $4 on it, but that was a miss. So for the week, it was 4 and 8, a on the table amount of $106.50, and a payout of $105.13, meaning we had a massive loss of $1.37. So that does it for those first two. We're going to run straight into who I'm going to be taking for the Memorial. And wait, is it the Memorial? I have to think about that. But either way, it is the U.S. Women's Open that I am more concerned about and really excited to watch this weekend. So to tell you right now, there aren't going to be any bets other than outright win because, as you know, hoping to cash in my office pool picks as I also hope to win with enhanced wins. I'm taking Bob McIntyre. Mr. Robert McIntyre has a pretty good feel for this course, gets around okay. Do I expect him to win? I highly doubt it. I would like to say that I would try every week to try to pick a winner, but we're getting into that point of the season where I have used some big names. I've used some mid-grade names as well that I'm not sure with what I have left over is the proper ammunition to feel like I need to burn another one. So Bob McIntyre, mid-grade, maybe slightly below that, but I think we'll get good value for the money. in all honesty, if he doesn't win, I'm hoping he still ends up somewhere in 7th or 8th place. Not the best spot to be trying to pick, but again, there are about 3 or 4 names in the top 5 already that I've burned. And I'm not sure if I am also going to go with popular picks. The last 2 weeks have been, the last 2 out of 3 weeks have been okay. 1 winner. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of us are in that point where a lot of us are kind of crossing over in this one and done office pool league. And we're starting to get into, if everyone ends up making the same pick, we're just keeping up. If you miss, you end up falling behind by quite a bit unless you are ahead and you actually do pick somebody that performs better than what the majority seem to be kind of pooling with. So I'm not sure if Bob McIntyre is going to be one of those picks for everyone else, but it'll be that for me this week. I'm really confident in him to win. I highly doubt it again, but to at least come out somewhere in the top 10s, I'd be really happy. Because at this point, I feel like this week is a little bit more of a zag than it is trying to keep up with the Joneses, as I'm trying to kind of reclaim and climb up through this leaderboard. I was dead last, as you know from the last few weeks, and with the Scotty Scheffler win and a few other ones, I've slowly ascended to just slightly below average. I think that the pool is 70-something people, and I'm at like 37. So slowly my way working up that leaderboard, but it's going to take a lot, and I think I'm going to be keeping a lot of these other names for the bigger purses and taking my shot there. So it worked out, but overall, I'm just kind of going to play the steady game this week. And we'll get to the Austrian Open too. I have a few bets there. We won't really preview that one, but going into the U.S. Women's Open, super excited about that. The current record is sitting at 46-106, and my bankroll is at $1,082.92. So this week is at Erin Hills. We have defending champ Yuka Sazo. I'm not sure how well she'll perform here. I don't see a repeat performance, but not just from her and the experience at this particular course. It's just more of where she is in her game. I'd say solid, but not major solid. So if we're going to kind of take into account everything that Erin Hills has to offer, 6,800 yards, really big, really wide open. There's going to be some weather leading up to it, so I think these practice rounds that I've been trying to catch are going to be a little soggy, catch a little bit of rain, but honestly it's supposed to dry out, and if anything, just be a little nippy through the 4 days and warm up, I believe, for the final day. So good weather on day 4. Hopefully that stays. I don't really want to see any sort of sloppiness at Erin Hills. It's big, it's wide open, it's long, but at the same time, you are going to be challenged by the bunker, not just greenside, but fairway bunkers and the wind. I don't know how well or how much they'll allow the sides to grow, but overall, I think it's going to be a really good tournament. If I'm going to guess, winner comes in at, I'll say, if weather is a little bit of a factor, just a couple days, I'm going to say winner ends up at 11 or 12 under. And if you're scorching the course, 13 to 14, but I feel like there's going to be a day where even whoever comes out as the winner has one of those just struggling 1 over, maybe 1 under days, and the other 3 are going to be pretty fruitful in terms of what scores they can throw up there. And I think we're heading to another major playoff, if I'm going to take one guess. Haven't figured out if I'm going to bet on the winner of the playoff or if I'm going to bet winner outright, but I probably will throw some money down on, a couple, if not more, just like last time. The last major happened a few weeks ago, where we may see a playoff with multiple players. But going into that, honestly, I don't think I am going to stray too far for dark horses and sleepers and long shots. Honestly, these rookies are ridiculous. I mean, you look at what Ryo Takeda has done, Shizato Iwai, as well as her sister, Aki Iwai. Just look at these stats as they sit. So Shizato is sitting at strokes gained across the board, 44th, 44th, 29th, which is her best, and that's off the tee, 72nd, 58th, and then 85th, which is obviously a problem area for putting. But then you look at Aki, 21st, 11th, 30th, 6 is approach, 87th is around the green. That may cause some trouble just with this tournament. And then 84th for putting. I love one stat that sticks out for her. So I did mention that around the green could be troublesome for Aki, but she is 7th in greens in regulation. But what's more important is if she finds fairways, her greens from fairways is 84.74%. That's third. It's a little bit of a quirky stat, but if you can lean on it, that just means that if you are hitting fairways and giving yourself even half decent lies, you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be in position A or even B. You could be a little behind, you could be in the short part of a corner, but still be in the fairway, and most likely she's hitting that. She's hitting that more than 8 times out of 10. She's hitting the green from there. So I love that about it. How we factor that into the bets, I'll finalize that towards the end, but I just did want to go through some of these names that are certainly catching my eye. There's not going to be a whole lot of who is that from this, especially if you know this podcast. We've already gone through a watch list, and a majority of the watch list for the LPGA side is living up to and even surpassing even my standards. They were on a watch list for a reason, to see how they would fare their rookie year, or at least their inaugural year. Maybe they had kind of fallen back a bit and come back, but Ryo Takeda, Shizato Iwai, Aki Iwai, a couple other ones even there that should belong probably in this week's of bets. But again, with the limited amount that I can bet, when the most they go out to is top 10 or better, there's just not a whole lot to throw out there other than 3-ball, first round leaders, and 72-hole matchups. So got a few of those too. But before that one, I'm throwing out Arya Jutanugarn. Last 3 finishes, T3, T2, T6. I can't say it's a resurgence because she still is young, but she is looking like she is in prime form. She is 100% 1, if not 2 bets this week, but look out for her. She plays so well in the majors, and then you can't argue. She's peaking at the right time. If she's peaking, she's ready for this week at Erin Hills. If this is what kind of season she's on the brink of doing for the rest of the year, I'm all in. I'll be betting on her like we bet on Ayaka. So you can pretty much lock her in for at least 2, maybe 3 if I can find it. But to finalize that, I'll let you know. And then the other 2, Heiran Ryu and Gino Dirical. I mean, Ryu leads the tour in strokes gained tee to green. If you look at her strokes gained, she's 7th, 1st, 3rd, 20th. The one part that obviously is a glaring, almost punishment for her is putting. She's 130th. So in all aspects, I can see her getting close enough for a majority of her approaches, her sand saves, whatever it might be, that keeps her close. Where she seems to struggle is outside that big circle, but you're on the green and not being able to, I hate to say not have the touch to get it there, but 130th, that makes it kind of rough when you are leaving yourself 90 plus foot putts and it takes you 4 and sometimes 3 to get there. So I'm hoping that as long as this course is, she can hit her greens and leave herself fairly decent short 10, 20 foot putts that, you're looking at a couple that go in here and there and a couple that you just end up 2 putting and taking your medicine, walking away with par or maybe a bogey here or there. So I can't ignore all the other aspects of her game that are just primed and ready to go. Putting is going to go one way or another, so I will bet on her, but is it good enough to win? It was a couple weeks ago, but can that continue to happen? Honestly, if she maintains and holds these stats and plays as it looks on paper, even if she were to end up in like 90th or 99th in putting, I think that's almost an automatic top 10. So if you drop the right ones and you don't really lose too many this week, she easily could win again. but that is just a tough pill to swallow when you ranked so highly in all the other categories and you're just at 130th in putting. And then Gino Thitical, I mean, what else is there? She's having a fantastic year, not only with finishes, but with just overall total strokes gained. She is your leader as of right now in this season. So I can't ignore that. She will be another bet. How that plays out for me, I'm not quite sure. Maybe she's the one I take in a playoff win. But those are the ones that are going to be all over my bet book. I don't know if there are going to be many others. Kind of even looking now, I don't even know if I can bet on Yuka Sazo on any level, even though she's defending champ. It is now a different course. It's Erin Hills. But overall, those names, I would usually tell you to fade me. But, I mean, work of art and the body of work of what these players are doing, as I've mentioned, it's hard to ignore, and it's hard to say, well, I'm saying it, so you should fade me. No, I'm putting money on these girls, and I think they're gonna make some noise this weekend. So kind of looking through the stat sheet and looking at my bet sheet right now, I am going to narrow it down and finalize these bets. How much? I have no idea. You'll see that when I post them on Instagram, the Facebook fan page, and on X. But I think with the top 10s, I'm going to take Heiran Ryu at plus 200 and Aki Iwai at plus 525. Then we're going to go into the top 5s. I am hoping I can get a pretty damn near close to a clean sweep here, but we're going with Gino Thitical plus 250, Ryo Takeda plus 625, Shizato Iwai at plus 775, and Arya Jatanagarn at plus 925. I told you she'd be in there. She's going to be in another one here in a second. First round leaders, I'm throwing 4 out there. They're all capable of doing it. Whether or not that happens, I'm not sure, especially with this first one with Celine Boutier. She's plus 4,000. I think there's a chance that she could make a little noise the first couple of days, but whether or not it's sustainable throughout the course of this major championship, I don't know, at least not right now in terms of her game. But for a day, it could end up on the first day. Arya Jatanagarn at plus 5,000, Jin Young Ko at plus 3,300, and then Yalimi No at plus 3,300 as well. So hopefully one of those comes through. If not, I will honestly take picking 4 out of the top 5 if that comes to, if I'm lucky enough to come that close to taking almost a clean sweep in that category. Again, I don't know how much I'll be betting on each of these players, but you can put that down for sure that these are my bets for the weekend. And if I don't take too many names or actually place too many bets for the Austrian Open, I may actually end up betting quite a bit live for the major this weekend. So keep an eye out on that. Actually, let's throw one more in there. And I was reading this and I wasn't sure if I could fully trust it, but I think I trust it more than enough. So your options are in 3-ball, Arya Jatanagarn at plus 160 versus Alison Corpus plus 190 versus Alim Kim at plus 170. I'm taking Arya all day, especially for this tournament. Alison Corpus, hit or miss. She could blow me out of the water. She could, outright beat these other two out. I doubt it this week. Alim Kim, I feel like she'll perform well, but just not as well as Arya. So we're going with her this week. Alright, so no scouting, no going over the field, no going over crazy stats this week. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I'm trying to get back into a routine of this. But I do have bets for the Austrian Open. We're going to jump into the top 40. Well, just one pick. It's going to be Yao Slouten at minus 143. You guys have noticed with this show, he's either an absolute goldmine or he is nowhere close to when I take him sometimes. I very rarely feel like he's ever in the middle, like he just misses out for me on a couple spots or, anything like that. It just ends up being an absolute disaster or he's making me money. But I'll take him in top 40. It seems like a good field where he more than likely can accomplish that at the very least for me. Again, no numbers yet in terms of how much, but I'll give you the odds here and you decide what you're planning to do. But you can follow the bets again on any of the sites. We have top 30 bets of Keita Nakajima at plus 115 and Matthew Jordan at plus 100. Even money right there. I think those are fairly safe bets, even though both of them played really well. I don't see them missing a cut, so as long as they're making it, they have a really good chance to finish still within the top 30. And then the two top 5s, names that we've heard and been familiar with on the show before, Eugenio Lopez Chacara we have at plus 550, and then back to the well with Wen Yi Ding. I think he's on the verge of really, I don't want to say separating himself, but really making a name for himself this season with enough points. I'm not sure where he'll fall or how this works out for him in the long run, but trending game-wise, it all looks like it's right there for the taking for him. Whether or not to win it, I don't know, but certainly to start cracking the top 3s, the top 5s, hopefully this week for us. But he's definitely shown flashes, and his game looks solid. Not a lot of weaknesses to look at least within the setting and on the DP World Tour side. So betting on that this weekend. That'll do it for this episode of Podcast and Regulation. Again, I'm your host, RP. No on the clock this week. Going to keep it really simple. Again, just trying to get into a routine of getting back into this and trying to find some consistency. And even more so, keep your eye out on Twitter and Instagram at Pod and Regulation. This week, I will be throwing out 3 to 5 live bets for the Women's Open. And then, yeah, we'll just get back to it next week. Guys, if you're betting with me, hey, good luck to us. Hopefully we win some money. If you're fading me, hey, I don't care. Good luck to you too. But either way, we'll see you next week. We'll get this recap. We'll hopefully fare pretty well with Bob McIntyre in the Memorial. But in the meantime, guys, have fun, make some money, and I will see you later. Again, I'm RP, and this is Podcast and Regulation. Take care.